Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Welcome back to the Dirk and Will channel. Hey, it's time for another Quizversation where I quiz Will and the trivia turns into the conversation.
Quizversation!
Will, there are rumblings that the new James Bond actor will be revealed shortly. And as we all probably heard, last year, Amazon MGM Studios took over creative control of the Bond franchise. You remember that? From Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson. Now, they already have their first film in development, buddy. It's projected to release 2027 or 2028 with director Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve. He is the finest of the fine French directors.
He's attached to the project already, as well as the writer Stephen Knight, who does Peaky Blinders. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's it. That is cool. That is cool. Yeah.
Nice start, right?
That's
And casting the new Bond at this point is all speculation, FYI, for everybody. But we have an idea that the studio is looking for someone younger than Daniel Craig's Bond. All right.
Right. That's fair.
And here's some names that have been attached recently.
I have my own short list that I'm pretty jazzed about. So
okay, we're going to get into that for sure.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear some of these. So yeah,
that'll be part of the Quizversation.
Quizversation.
So far, you got Caleb Turner, don't know who that is. Aaron Taylor Johnson, know who that is. Anthony Boyle, don't know who that is. But there's a big unverified rumor, because all rumors are really unverified, Dirk, that the role has been offered to an actor in just the past couple months, my friend. It's been offered, and he hasn't accepted yet. That actor is Jacob Elordi. Does that sound familiar?
I'm going to the Googles. It sounds familiar, but I don't know what he's from.
He's in Euphoria. Is Euphoria what Sydney Sweeney's in? Is that Euphoria?
Yeah. Okay, I see this kid. I see this kid.
I have no clue who he is. But with that information in mind, Will, let's have a Quizversation today about James Bond.
James Bond. Okay, so can we preface this a little bit by just saying that I'm a James Bond fanatic? Like there are certain pillars in my life that have been there. There are constants that feed my soul, and James Bond is one of them.
James Bond should be right up my alley, and I enjoy James Bond, but I don't love James Bond. So I'm glad you're here as an expert. So are you ready to Quizversation, buddy?
I'm ready for Quizversation because I wouldn't go so far as to call me an expert. I would call myself an ardent fan.
Okay, ardent fan. Here we go. All right, so why don't you go ahead and name the actors who have canonically played James Bond in their order of appearance on the big screen, Will, if you can do
canonically? That. All right. All right. So we're going to start off with a young Sean Connery, who turned into an old Sean Connery. We're going to go with George Lazenby.
Okay.
Then we're going to move into the fluffy one. I can't think of his name, Roger Moore. And then we're going to go straight to Timothydalton. And then we're going to go to Pierce Brosnan. And then finally we're going to land with the great but retiring Daniel Craig.
Buddy, you got it just right. Are you I'm
pretty proud of myself right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty proud of myself right now.
It's really about the conversation, not just about the quiz. The quiz won't be super hard, but it's going to lead into a conversation. That's what it's all about if it's your first time here. When you did that first time, I got to tell you, I had to look up the order. It was Lazenby that got me.
Lazenby gets everybody because he only did the one. And Lazenby gets everybody. Now, the fun thing is there were so many callbacks to the one George Lazenby movie in the final Daniel Craig movie. Nothing but time. There were so many great callbacks from that. Yeah, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, indeed.
Right. I remember that one. So this leads me to this. So we've named all these Bonds. So who's your favorite Bond? And I mean, there's an obvious choice that everybody picks, but that doesn't mean it has to be your favorite or my favorite. So let's pick our favorite Bonds and let's do what you were saying earlier. Who do we think would be a good Bond right now?
Okay, so my favorite James Bond is easily Sean Connery.
Bond. James Bond.
Second is going to be kind of a surprise because he's a dark horse, and that's Timothydalton.
Bond. James Bond.
I thought Timothydalton brought this kind of brooding darkness to James Bond that we didn't see again until Daniel Craig.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
I've never been a big fan of Roger Moore.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
period, or just as James
I'm
Bond?
just gonna say, is there a difference?
No, I mean, what else was he in?
Cannonball Run 2, I believe.
Actually, Will Moore featured in the original, the Cannonball Run film. Here, check him out.
No.
Zykozin, mama.
Pierce Brosnan, I thought would have been amazing,
Name's Bond. James Bond.
except that those were the worst Bond films made because they were just all like, it was like the Broccoli's discovered CGI, and they were like, "Woo, let's make it. The car is invisible."
Is that how the Broccolis talked?
That was it. I mean, his name was Cubby Broccoli, so why wouldn't he be like, look, my name's Cubby, and this is how I talk. This is how somebody named Cubby talks.
So I also Sean Connery. Sean Connery to me was, I love him as an actor, period, right? But he was like a one-on-one James Bond as a spy, and he was really, to me, the only one that played it that way. So, and in that, I mean, like, Pierce Brosnan was like Rambo sometimes. And I like the whole like sneak attack, one-on-one fight in a hotel room, you know, that takes a second, and they do it in fast motion, so it seems like they're faster than they are because it's so old school. Like, that's Sean Connery, and I love that. And Sean Connery's a big guy. Like, he could deal with it. Which leads me to who I think should play James Bond now. And he was named before as someone that they thought might play, but now they're like, he's too old. But it's Henry Cavill.
Man, Henry Cavill 15 years ago, yes.
But I can't see many 25-year-olds taking Henry Cavill. Not to mention, he showed through like The Witcher and stuff. And even now he's in, Highlander, that he's a total nerd. So he's going to stick to whatever, like the books. He's going to stick to the James Bonding. All right, next question. Which actor played James Bond the most times, my friend?
Man, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with either Daniel Craig or the one I don't like, Roger Moore. I bet it was Roger Moore. I'm going to go with Roger Moore. Roger Moore for the win.
You got it. 7 times. Roger Moore. 7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there. Do you think I already know so my follow-up conversation on this was going to be, do you think he's overrated, underrated? I already know the answer. So that's
terrible.
What I mean when
he's
I say
just
like
terrible. I mean,
when I say the conversation will go naturally, like we don't really have to have much of a conversation here. I know how you feel.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, but to elaborate upon why, like, he was a James Bond for the 70s, whereas Sean Connery was very much, the character was written in the 50s, and he kind of played that character as a 50s sort of character and 60s. And by the time the 60s were through, Sean Connery was older. He really shouldn't have been playing the character much longer. Then they drop in Roger Moore, who's like this bubbly, like straight out of, Carnaby Street in the 60s, and is there, and he's like, oh, look at me in my very fine small gum. I'm very posh. I'm posh. He's Posh Bond, and I hate Posh Bond.
Here's how I felt about him. A, he was too old because he's 55 years old making out with a 19-year-old girl.
Well, so we only decided that was bad recently. So let's be fair.
Yeah, but he makes it seem real weird because he's so arrogant and like cocksure. Like he's so like, to your point, he's, look at me. Oh, hello. Are you out of class today of high school?
Yeah.
Come over here in your bikini. He's almost a caricature of what Bond should be. All right, we're doing well with the quiz part, and you're going to get this next one too. Ready? What was the first James Bond movie ever released?
The first James Bond movie ever released was Casino Royale, but it was released as a television show in the U.S.
Let's take that out because that's when I said, remember the beginning when I said who played James Bond in order canonically, because in the like in the productions they don't, but I had him in here in my question originally. I had him, and then I was like, I read up on it, I was like, nah, like that's just gonna, what that's gonna feel like? That's gonna feel like I got you.
Yeah, they also did a Casino Royale with Peter Sellers that was kind of a comedy, I want to say.
Well, I think this is the one with David. I think it was David Niven. It was like satirical, right? It was like a satire. Yeah.
So was it David Niven? Okay, it was David Niven. That's the one I'm thinking of.
All right, so let's take that out. So who is in all the Bond movies we know, what's the first one?
Dr. No?
You got it, buddy. Dr. No,
Dr. No.
1962.
Dr. No. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm pretty proud of that. That was a deep cut for me.
So that leads me to the conversation around that, to me, was Dr. No. And I remember, like, that's kind of, to me, old Bond style.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit already, which is, and I don't know, Like, where would you put the eras? To me, here's the eras.
Okay,
of Bond,
yeah.
okay?
Let's hear it. Let's hear what you got.
To me, there's Connery. Boom, he's his own era. And then you've got Lazenby, Moore, and Dalton as an era.
Yes.
Okay. Now these are not going to be equal out like how many movies they were in.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
And they're still old school, but not cool old school like Connery. They're kind of hokey. When you have awesomeness, and then it goes into kind of brooding Dalton, to your point, and you've got Moore, and then Lazenby. I like Lazenby, so I put him in that character, and then I put Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig in a category, not because they were similar, because they were modern.
You know what? I'm actually going to categorize them a little bit differently.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to say that there's the Connery era, which represents the original James Bond.
Right.
There is what I'll call the interregnum, in which we had Roger Moore, George Lazenby.
Quizversation, where Will blinds us with words.
Lazenby, Roger Moore, Lazenby, Dalton, and Timothydalton.
While you're answering this, leave in the comments below, everybody. Is it a hard A or a soft A? Is it Lazenby or Lazenby? Because we're both saying it differently.
I think it's Lazenby. I'm going with Lazenby. What are you going with?
I went with Lazenby, but you keep saying Lazenby.
Do I keep saying Lazenby? No,
yeah.
I'm trying to say Lazenby here.
I don't. You could be right.
So
go ahead.
So anyway, Lazenby, Roger Moore, Lazenby, and Timothydalton and Pierce Brosnan all kind of represent the departure of James Bond from source material and then started living as this own sort of pop culture instrument, right? Yeah. He was no longer James Bond, a character. He was James Bond, kind of this caricature. Right. And he played a caricature for a lot of years. I mean, I think every actor brought a caricature to James Bond in that era.
I think that's when they started running out of source material and they started doing some screenwriting. So to your point, that's a good point. I like it.
Yeah. So and then you have the reboot, right, where you brought Daniel Craig in, and that took James Bond back to the source, man.
Right.
Like we went back to the source material and we started building on him as a character again, as opposed to this kind of Cold War tool or a provocateur or whatever. You know, he became a character again. And then I'm excited about what they're going to do with the next one if they do it the way I want them to. And if they don't do it the way I want them to, I'm going to be very upset.
I might put Daniel Craig in his own era, and here's why. I think every other Bond to me up until him was basically it's episodic.
Yeah.
And then he turned into, like, you got to follow the whole story, which I don't like. I want my Bond to be a one-off.
Yeah, no.
I want my Bond like I want my Star Trek. Okay? I want a one-off. I don't want to have to follow the story over and over again.
Dude, you got to follow canon. I'm sorry.
You got to
follow canon.
All right, so next question. Here we go. Which Bond movie made the most money worldwide, and which made the most when adjusted for inflation, my friend?
Oh, most money worldwide ever. I'm going to go with No Time to Die.
Okay. And when adjusted for inflation, do you still believe it's No Time to Die? Or
no, I think it would be probably Casino Royale.
So these are interesting questions because they don't rely on your knowledge of James Bond. They rely on your knowledge of box office gross. The correct answer, my friend, is Skyfall.
Oh, man. I should have done that.
So Skyfall was the overall winner of gross. Depending on who you ask, it's 1.1 to 1.5 billion. But when adjusted for inflation, the winner is Skyfall.
Oh, that's a trick question if there ever was one.
Well, number 2 when adjusted is Thunderball, and number 3 is Goldfinger.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And they're pretty close.
That. Yeah.
And those are good ones. I like those Bond movies.
I figured No Time to Die was going to do it, but it's post-COVID. So Skyfall was pre-COVID.
Well, Skyfall also landed on the 50th anniversary year, so they put a bunch of extra marketing into it.
Okay. And Skyfall really was a great movie. I mean, and it's like there's no arguing there.
It might be the only Daniel Craig movie that was a standalone movie. I like that part of it. Like, you could just watch Skyfall.
You could, but you need,
like, if you know something about Bond, you could just watch Skyfall is what I mean. Like, you didn't have to.
Okay.
You know, like,
you got to have some background knowledge there.
You got to know who Q is, and you got to know who Moneypenny. And they went back and added some of those characters, like some of that nostalgia they threw back in there. And he's driving Aston Martin.
Yeah,
in
the
that
DB5.
movie, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like it had been a minute, and they got Q back, and they got Moneypenny back, and it's like it's our 50th anniversary.
Javier Bardem was a bad guy beyond
It's
all
great.
bad guys. Yeah,
He's
like
great.
I wish they had saved Javier Bardem and used him as the bad guy in No Time to Die instead of Mr. Robot.
Here's the next question, bud.
Let's do it.
It is real. I mean, they must be bombing somebody.
I mean, it feels like we're at war.
It
when
just
I'm
shook
hearing
right here. It
what
doesn't
you're
usually
saying right
shake,
there.
but it's not usually this loud. Maybe it's because I'm so tan.
Maybe it is. Oh, you're more sensitive to it.
Because I'm tanner than normal.
Yeah,
And I don't just mean normal me. I mean a normal human being right now.
So
I've got my saturation all the way down. It doesn't matter. Which film featured the famous Aston Martin DB5?
Which one didn't?
Initially.
Initially it was Dr.
That
No.
was the first sighting.
I believe it was Dr. No.
It was Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. I was going to go with Goldfinger. Damn it.
Yeah, and I think it got the most screen time in Goldfinger too, I think.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's
so
a hard
that leads
pull.
me to gadgets. Like this is
Yeah.
where I want to talk about like gadgets. Like, so what's your favorite James Bond gadget? Because I was never a huge gadget guy when it came to James Bond. I was never like, that's awesome. My pick for best gadget, I just talked about it, was that big stupid jetpack.
That big stupid jetpack, right?
with in Thunderball with Sean Connery attached to it.
I liked the watches, man. I liked what he always had a watch, and maybe that partly describes my fascination with watches to this day. But he always had a watch that had
You're
a
a car guy
gadget,
and a watch guy. Of course you like Bond. This makes perfect sense.
right? I mean, the stars align here.
Yeah. Plus you got a big hairy chest like Sean Connery did. I'd like to rub my hands through that chest of his. Not yours. Please don't show us your chest. Yep, it's too late.
Sorry,
I brought that upon us all. You're welcome, everybody.
you did that.
Dirk and Will channel.
Like and
It's a
subscribe.
shag carpet festival.
But yeah, so I always liked the watches, man. Like, when they would shoot them out of a tube or something like that. There were other real
Like some of them,
practical
like
things, though.
Yeah, some of them would have roasted peanuts in them. The watch, and the other one could shoot a laser. Dude, there's a lot of difference in what these watches can do.
There's a lot. These watches could do some amazing things.
So here's why I wasn't a big gadget guy, because it was a little too convenient how whatever gadget Q gave him, he needed it in that particular movie on that particular mission, and without it, he was going to fail.
Well, and the thing is, it's not even a question of like, oh, I need a bomb and I have a bomb on my wristwatch, right? It's,
Right.
Oh, I need a hypersonic frequency regulator to break this unbreakable crystal glass, and I just happen to have one on my watch now.
Right, I need a pen with a grenade on it if I snap it the right amount of times, and then I need somebody who plays with pens all day.
Right. Exactly. Like the specificity of it just got a little too on the nose.
All right, next question. Here we go. In 1985, we already kind of went over this one, buddy, but we're going to do it anyway. View to a Kill was released with the theme song of the same name being released and popular. What individual or band released a View to a Kill, buddy?
That would be Depeche Mode, since we already not Depeche Mode. Jesus, I just said Depeche Mode. That's kind of funny. That is actually funny. Not Simple Minds. Not Depeche Mode, not Simple Minds, not So Red the Rose by the band Arcadia.
It's the same name twice. Starts with a D, ends with Iran. Keep going.
Will never answers due to his embarrassment at guessing Depeche Mode. So I'll tell you, Dirk Duran Duran is the answer.
So that leads me to this. What's your favorite theme song? Bond theme song.
Oh, dude, that's tough, right? Because
That's a tough one.
there
I
are
had to
so
think
many
about this
good
one,
ones. Skyfall, man. Skyfall kind of brings it home to me every time.
That was the Adele one, right?
That was the Adele one, right?
Yeah, that one
And
hit
then-
hard too, like the actual, the population. So
Yeah, that one hit hard
some
too.
of them became
Then-
very popular and other ones were just Bond songs.
Yeah, like Garbage did a Bond song.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They didn't.
Right.
They didn't break big. Madonna did a Bond song. It didn't
She
break.
did do
big.
a Bond song, yeah.
Adele did Skyfall. It broke big.
So what's your favorite out of them all?
I'm gonna go with Adele, man. I'm gonna go with Skyfall, just because Skyfall is such a good movie and the song is so good, and it's flipping Adele, man.
Yeah,
Like, when she sang that live, We saw her live sing that, and that was a moment. That was a moment for me as a Bond
that's
fan and
cool.
as a music fan. It was a moment. Yeah.
It's funny because it was it's not as dated. Like some of the music's a little dated now, but here my favorite is just here it is because it gets stuck in my ear. It's an earwig to me every time I hear it. Ready?
All right. Ready?
Goldfinger.
Oh my God.
And that was Shirley Bassey who sang
yeah.
she sang Diamonds Are Forever and Moonraker themes too. But
Yeah.
I can't, every time I hear Goldfinger, I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna be 2 days. That's 2 days.
Oh
of that in
yeah,
my
that's
head.
easily. Now it's 2 days for me now. I've got to go to a meeting after this, and I'm just going to look at the guy, and I'm going to look at him and go, we can do this for you, but it's going to require a gold finger.
So that my kind of also ran to be A View to Kill, which we already talked about, Live and Let
Love
Die,
that.
and For Your Eyes Only.
So many. It's interesting. Like there's interesting the Bond songs that didn't make it big, and that's like a podcast in and of itself, man. Like,
and why? And I mean, that also goes to like, why are some of the Bond girls more famous than others? It's not just based on looks, and it's just based on the movie sometimes.
Movies sometimes, yeah. And did they have actually any, legs? And I don't mean like legs. Like, did their career have?
I just got the song "One" by Metallica in my head. Taking my arm, taking my leg. Like they were in Vietnam, and then they went off and they made out with James Bond, but they don't have any legs.
This is why I love this. This is a Quizversation. We go off topic.